Hey, everybody. Welcome in to Hold My Banner. If you love this show, make sure you check out Foxborough Rush, also available on Ness. And George Malecki and I get you ready for the Patriots' upcoming NFL draft. It's right around the corner. Check it out. Foxborough Rush can be found on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and wherever else you get your podcast. All right, here we go. Time for Hold My Banner, and we got all the business going. Travis Thomas here with the walking, talking, triple-double Ountae Campbell. Ountae, we have coaches and GMs getting fired right before the playoffs start in the NBA. We have crowned champs now in March Madness, which you know comes fast and furious. You look up, it's so much fun, and then it's over in a flash. Yep. We got all that and more coming up here on Hold My Banner, my friend.
Yeah, we do. And, you know, I got to tell the people real quick about our weekend. Shout out to Triple B.
Yes.
Triple B. You know what I'm saying? Travis had his family in town, and we had a ball together. We had a great Boston weekend, man. But now it's time to talk about the Boston Celtics.
Well, here's how you know we had too much fun is because there's no picture or video to show. You know how we're always, like, showing our weekend on here? We couldn't do it. We were having too much fun with Triple B. Now, let's get into the Cavs first because they're starting to fade late here, Ountae.
Yeah.
Here's their latest L that they took. They have not been playing well lately. And don't look now. I mean, listen, mathematically, the Celtics are still very much alive for the 1 seed in the East, if you can believe it. But as the Celtics really get hot here at the end of the season, which you would expect a champ to do, the Cavs have gone the other direction. And we thought the Cavs would be the biggest test in the East to push the Celtics. Do you still feel that way? Because I'll be honest, I do by default. This whole time, it's been personnel based with the Cavs, in my opinion. I like their athletic bigs. I like the fact that this season, Donovan Mitchell has stayed healthy. Darius Garland has stayed healthy. Now you look up, Donovan Mitchell's banged up as well going down the stretch here. So some of the things I like about this team, they still have intact. Obviously, we'll see about the health of Donovan Mitchell. I think he'll be fine. But personnel-wise is why I believed the Cavs would push the Celtics. It's also why I thought when the Cavs got out to that hot start, you remember me saying right on the show, it's sustainable. And it was.
Yeah.
I still think it is, but it's not. Here's my concern if I'm a Cavs fan. You haven't won anything, like ever.
At all.
So,
if
the roles were reversed and the Cavs are hot and the Celtics are fading down the stretch, I have zero concerns because these are the champs, championship pedigree, yada, yada, yada. The Cavs don't have that luxury. So if I'm a Cavs fan, I do have a little, here we go again, right? But I guess PTSD from losing all those years. But in the end, I mean, listen, their personnel's still their personnel here. One thing should be noted, though. The Cavs' schedule has been littered with tough teams. I looked this up. I want to share it.
Okay.
8th hardest remaining schedule in the league. 8th, okay?
Okay.
Celtics on the in the meantime, again, we talk about how they've been late or hot as of late. It's because they've been playing cupcakes. 2nd easiest remaining schedule in the league. So it's not about how you start, but how you finish here. I would not be shocked if the Celtics end up the 1 seed, although I wouldn't bet on it.
I don't even know if that's still mathematically possible. It might be. Is that out
when
of the
I looked, it was mathematically still alive.
I mean, as we're recording this. Yes. Okay. But here's my thing. All right. You gave me a lot of credit saying that I thought that the Cavs were going to be the toughest out for the Celtics. Coming into the season, I didn't think that at all. I didn't think the Cavs – I didn't think Kenny Atkinson made a difference. I didn't think that the Cavs were going to be a serious team that we would be talking about right now in April. You know, I thought they were just going to be how I view the Pacers. Just a team that's good, but once it came to that playoff time, Celtics in 4 or 5 or whatever, right?
Right.
Now, as the season went along, right, obviously this team has the best record in the East. I had to learn to respect
That's what
them.
I meant. As the season went on, you kind of got on board with it.
Right. But at the end of the day, do I think they're any tougher to beat than the Knicks or any of these other the Pacers or some of these other guys who are winning games now?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're obviously much better than them still. To this day, they're way better than the Knicks. They're way better than the Pacers, all that other stuff. But all this run that they've been on, where they're 6-4 in their last 10 as we're recording this, shows me is that, everybody else is getting swept by the champs, and the Cavs will lose in 5, and if they're lucky, 6. That's it. I was saying 7 during the trade deadline. I thought, adding DeAndre Hunter was going to make a big difference.
I did too.
But he's played some great basketball for them.
He has made a difference.
And there were times where they were making great runs.
Yes.
They've had win streaks along with this too. It hasn't been all bad since then.
That's right.
And they're still a really good team. But I just think when it comes down to it, they're going to have championship pedigree. All of their guys should be healthy because we see every single game, there's like, oh, Tatum's out because his toe hurts today. Or he's probable, or, maybe he'll play because his toe hurts today. And Jaylen Brown lost an extra eyelash in the shower today, so he may not be available.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So, of course, I'm seeing the Celtics as a healthy team, on fire, entering the playoffs, good confidence going in, whether they have an easy schedule or a hard schedule. I don't care. It's good confidence rolling into the playoffs.
Sure.
And they're going to go through and show everybody why they're the champs. So I say I was at Cavs and Celtics winning against the Cavs in 7. I'm now at Celtics beating the Cavs in 5.
I was never at 7. I was at 6. I'm going to stick there. I would be shocked if it goes 7. I'm not willing to go 5, so I guess I'm right in between. But I'm consistent. I said I would take the Celtics in 6 games over the Cavs in a very competitive series is what I've been consistent with saying. I'm still there. I guess if I'm going power rankings because we're talking biggest threats
in the
Celtics,
East,
and we're talking about it as it pertains to the Cavaliers in a singular, conversation piece.
Yeah, I mean,
if we expand it, I would go Cavs 1 still. Yeah. Listen, Giannis is Giannis. I know Dame isn't there, and the Bucks stink.
Yeah,
Giannis is still a problem.
I'm not worried about that.
I got Giannis right there, and then I would put Giannis ahead of both the Knicks. And don't look now, Pacers are playing well too. Yeah. I mean, I would put the Knicks and the Pacers in that next tier at 3, but neither one of them have a real shot.
The only reason I say no Giannis is because Giannis hasn't, since he's won a championship, he hasn't completed the playoff series, has he? Well, he's been hurt every single year in the playoffs, every single time. So
he's healthy right now.
Right now, he was healthy going in the last playoffs too.
Well, not true.
Going in, but at this point in the season, with like 5 to 6 games to go, and then all of a sudden it was like he was hurt, and then he didn't start the first 2 games or whatever, and then
they couldn't hold him out because they don't have depth and they don't have a running mate for him still.
But that's my thing though. Now he doesn't have depth, and he hasn't had depth for the last 2 weeks. So now, who's to say he's not overexerting himself trying to propel his team into a better playoff position?
All right, well, give me yours. You have Cavs in 5. Is there another? You have the Cavs losing in 5 to the Celtics. Is there another team you have? Is it the Knicks? Like, who do you look at? There's no one in the East that can sniff the Celtics.
Hey, I'm not going to lie. There's no one in the East that can sniff the Celtics at all.
All right.
But if there was a team that I could throw out a dark horse, maybe push it to 6, because the Celtics maybe just take them a little bit lighter, but they have a lot to offer, would be the Detroit Pistons.
Who you've been on. Look, I won't laugh at you like I did in the preseason.
Yeah.
I get your theory about the Pistons, but I sort of feel the same way, which we'll talk about, after this segment. I sort of feel the same way about the Pistons as I do the Magic.
Yeah.
In that they're gonna muck it up. They're gonna play defense. They're gonna be tough. Pistons are better offensively than the Magic, but the Pistons go through these lulls, and the Magic's just worse.
Right.
But they both go through these lulls where they can't score. I mean, we're going to talk later about the Gators and the Cougars in the championship game for college basketball, but there's a little bit of Houston Cougars there for both the Pistons and the Magic, where they play great defense.
Yeah.
They do have star
player
or 2.
Say, the big difference is that Houston doesn't really have a star.
They have Cryer, but that was it.
Yeah, those 2 teams definitely do.
They have
a star,
right.
at least one.
But it's like offensively, they kind of it gets bleak there for a while, and that is not the case with the Celtics. The Celtics can play defense, and they can damn sure light you up offensively.
Yep.
So I hear you with the Pistons. I would also say the Magic. But again, both those teams are too limited.
Yeah.
I think in the end, the Cavs are balanced, Tay. They can play defense. They do have the stars. They're offensively gifted. I like Atkinson as a coach. They need, I believe, to get this 1 seed, and they also need to go into the playoffs with a little bit of momentum. They need a couple wins.
Yeah, they do need a couple wins. I also do want to respect. I'm not respecting the Knicks. Forget them. But we've talked about how terrible their health management has been, and that's why I don't trust them at all when it comes into a playoff situation. But I do have to put some respect on the Pacers' name. Obviously, you have to respect Carlisle. If they get hot,
which they are right now,
right? If they get hot in a playoff scenario with the Celtics, they could push it to 6. They still would lose. And probably 2 or 3 of those Celtics wins would be blowouts.
Yeah.
But if they get hot,
right,
they could push it to 6.
This is growth from you, my friend, because you would never say anything nice about the Pacers. Now you're saying it could go 6 games with them. I'm proud of you. That's real growth there from Ountae Campbell. Speaking of which, Ountae Campbell and I are both breaking down the Celtics game tonight in 30 seconds. Want to hear all about Boston sports, though? Check out Nesson's Daily Sports Podcast. Boston has entered the chat. You, too, can enter the conversation by tweeting at us using the hashtag NessonChat or email the chat at Nesson.com. Boston has entered the chat is available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and wherever else podcasts are found. All right, on the road tonight, Celtics Magic. Could be a first-round preview. Now, we just talked about it a little bit there, so we can kind of elaborate. It sounds like you're in lockstep with me that if this is indeed the first-round matchup, we like the Magic to play defense, to keep these games competitive, maybe even win a game. I could see it going 5 games, gentlemen sweep, but in the end, the Celtics are too dynamic, too layered, especially offensively, and just deep, and that they would essentially outclass the Magic in a first-round series. Do you agree with that? Because I would go Celtics in 5. And I think the Magic could learn from that moving forward,
right?
Because they're still so young. But in the end, I'll take the Celtics in 5. Do you agree with that assessment in terms of a series? And then we'll get into tonight's game.
Yeah, I agree. I think it would be Celtics in 5. I think you get at least one Franz Wagner game, one Paolo game where they play well together and, they get a drop 70 together or something, 75. And, they have that night and they feel good about themselves. It might even be like that first game in Orlando, where their backs against the ropes down 2-0 and they're like, all right, we got to fight for one, And I love Jamal Mosley as a coach.
I do too.
I hope he doesn't get the same fate as a lot of these playoff contending coaches are getting.
More
recently.
on that later.
We'll talk about that in a second.
Sheesh.
But, it's one of those situations where, you have to respect a team that plays defense, plays all out. They're a team that struggles to shoot, but there's NBA players. One night can happen and one night will happen, and they probably will get a game against the Celtics, but definitely not 2.
This Magic team, I had expectations for them, as you know, and they have really underachieved this season.
But it's also a health thing, too.
It is a health thing.
We talked about the Knicks with their health. Both guys were out for extended periods of time at one point. They lost every point guard on their team at one point.
Literally.
So you can't blame the injuries on their success, not being where it's supposed to be.
They're also young.
Yeah.
And this is part of the process. You're going to go through injuries. You're going to go through lulls. You're going to go through losing streaks. You're going to have to figure out how to deal with prosperity. They were really like the darling last season. They were everyone's Cinderella. What the Pistons are doing now. And, no one expected anything, but they were a feel-good story. And then the season's over, and all of a sudden it's all these expectations. And they have not lived up to any of them. That's part of the process, too. Don't we know it around here? So the Magic, I think, are coming in the future. But for now, yes. Okay, so we agree. 5 games, Celtics get that done. Magic can put that feather in their cap that they learn from it. As far as tonight goes, I think we could see a very competitive game. Now, right now, the Celtics are hot. I'm going to stick with that. But again, just like we're talking about how this series could play out, this is going to be a defensive game tonight. I'll give you a score. I'll go 112, 106. Celtics. Competitive. Maybe it doesn't quite feel as close as the score indicates when you watch the game. But I think the Magic are going to be hanging in there most of the night.
Yep.
And in the end, it's just too much firepower. But not the highest scoring Celtics game of all. I mean, what did I say? 112?
Yeah,
112, 106.
Yeah.
That feels like a good defensive night for the Magic, but just not enough offense to win the game. Does that make sense? Yeah.
And they have the size to take away the things that the Celtics want to do. You know, the Celtics really want to hunt that three. Obviously, all-time record for threes in the season for a team, this Celtics team, you know. So they really, really want to hunt the three and shoot the three, and the Magic are going to do a great job of running them off the line, scrambling. A lot of the same thing that the Celtics do to other teams, right? Run them off the line, scramble, play defense, hard nose. Everybody's competing no matter how tall or short they are. Yeah. Everybody's on the same page. That's what this Magic team is going to bring into this game. I did want to say, though, before I tell you my score prediction, that it's actually kind of a good thing, though, that the Magic are having a down year because they need an extra piece. If they were a team that was a 5 seed or a 4 seed going into this playoffs, they would be a team that we would sit there and see be perpetually in that race, right? Every single year. They're making the playoffs and what I like to call being in the NBA purgatory. You're good enough to make the playoffs, but not good enough to compete for a championship. Hopefully, when they get these 2 draft picks that they have in the first and second round of this upcoming draft, it's low enough where they can go make some moves, maybe even trade a guy, maybe move up a little bit to go get somebody that they really, really want.
What do they need? Scoring?
And they could be a better team in the future because of that. Now,
what do they need?
Yeah, scoring. Yeah, they need scoring. They've had a gaggle of point guards, but they need a point guard, you know, because I think they have a lot of guys that can do a lot of individual things. There's guys who are good on the defensive end. There's guys who are good on the offensive end, but they don't have that guy who's just the leader on both ends, does everything you need to. That's what they need to get in this draft, but I don't know if that's available for them where they'll be picking that. But as far as tonight goes, score prediction, I'm right there with you. Actually, I won't change your score too much. I'm going to go 114-107. Celtics. 114,
okay. We're actually very similar.
Yeah.
With our scores. Yeah, I agree with you in terms of point guards for the Magic, too. I was just looking like I don't know if there is anyone in this draft that can come in right away and make it happen.
Yeah.
But they have money. I mean, at this point now, you used to, like, roll your eyes at them, like little bro them in terms of free agency. I think now you can go get someone, right?
They went and got KCP, you know what I mean? Not being like KCP's this altering player, but
he's
like
a winner.
He's a winner, he's looking for winning situations, and they had the opportunity. He could have had his pick. He could have went anywhere, you know what I mean? And he decided to go there, so that's a good just stepping stone for them to get more free agents and stuff like that. I don't know who they would kind of entice. I don't know if they're maybe try to get in the Chris Paul sweepstakes. I know you don't love Chris Paul at this age, but he could be a guy that teaches some of these young guys how to, you know, get over the hump offensively, get over the hump defensively, teach them tricks and tools of the trade, because they've obviously leaned into these guys. They let Markelle Fultz go, who was probably their most developed.
Should have kept him.
Right. He was probably their most developed guard, I would say, right?
Yeah.
And they really trusted in the young guys to kind of get them over the hump. They were wrong, right? They were wrong with their sitting at 38 wins as we're recording this. But at the same time, if you're going to do that, like how I told you with the Wizards a while ago when they, traded for Middleton and Marcus Smart, you need some adults in the room who can teach these young guys the next steps and how to get the tools that they need to get to where they're trying to go to.
Yeah, Marcus Smart's teaching how to get in fights with fans when you go back to real good role model there.
Oh, man. All right. I want to ask you real quick, though, because I know you're a betting man and it always comes back to betting. Any bets for tonight that you like?
Yeah, I'm laying the points with the Celtics.
Okay.
Now, all right, I want to ask you about the Nuggets.
Yeah.
What happened? Like, I am shocked.
Oh,
this Shams tweet hit bro, it hit different. Yeah. I looked up. I didn't even believe this. So here's a tweet from Shams, the first one. The Denver Nuggets have fired head coach Mike Malone. What? Like, we're 5 minutes from the damn playoffs. And then you look up, they fired their GM too, Calvin Booth. What is going on here? So let's talk this out, because all we can do is speculate.
Yeah.
They have not been playing well lately. They are down to, the last I looked, I think a 4 or 5 seed out west. I get there's expectations there always.
Yep.
I mean, what did Malone cuss someone out? Now the GM. First of all, let me give you props here, because you said in the offseason, if you remember, I had the Nuggets and the Celtics in my finals, which was my prediction last season. So I just rolled that into this season like a 401k. And just like a 401k, it went to Shaq. It went to hell in a handbasket because this team doesn't play any defense at all.
None.
And you said, to your credit, in the offseason, they are only losing players. They're not adding anyone of significance.
Yep.
So the GM being on the hot seat makes sense. But why not wait till the end of the season, A, and then B, Mike Malone?
Right.
Like, Mike Malone's one of the most respected, best coaches in this league. I imagine he's going to have a job in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
But did something happen? Did he lose a locker room here? Like, the GM hot seat I get, I would still say wait till the end of the season. Mike Malone getting fired right now is absolutely shocking to me. Yeah. Shocking. And I have no answers.
Yeah, Mike Malone is definitely the most shocking piece of this.
Shocking.
Calvin Booth, I sit there and I say, okay, we're getting close to the draft. Maybe they want to get their guy. They have a guy, right, that they've tasked.
I guess.
And they want to get their guy in and get ready for the draft because this is a team that does build through the draft. Yeah. We know that they probably shouldn't be one of those teams. They probably should be getting free agents, right? But they really haven't hit on any big-time free agents besides Russell Westbrook, which, he's at the tail end of his career. Still a great player, but at the tail end of his career. It's one of those things, though, with Mike Malone, and you sit there and you say, okay, but you're not going to give this guy a chance? I mean, he was 2023 NBA champion. Right. And he doesn't get a chance sitting in the 4 seed, lining up with the Thunder, who's a young team who everybody has question marks about, especially after they just got boat raced by the Lakers. Yeah. So you're sitting there and looking and say, well, maybe this Thunder team is not as good as we thought they were. Maybe when we get them in the playoff situation, Shea's not getting all these foul calls. And I'm not saying that he's a free throw merchant because I've already dispelled that he's not a free throw merchant. Yeah. But maybe they don't get as comfortable offensively in the playoffs, and they can't rely on Shea as much in the playoffs, and maybe they're beatable. At least you would give him a chance, right?
Yeah,
he's got to be a Hall of Fame level coach.
Yeah, it's just strange. Like, you've been in the locker room. Yeah. You've been on, now it's collegiate, but still. I mean, what do you think something happened? Like, is there a scenario? Have you ever been on a team where the coach has lost you guys because of an incident? Yeah. He handled something wrong, maybe a beef between players. Yep. Or he said the wrong thing to the wrong guy at the wrong time. Or, like, what do you think happened? Because it just can't be underachieving. And again, the GM, we're kind of leaving out of this. We both understand that. Yep. Even though the timing's weird.
It is.
Malone, I'll be honest, bro. If I'm a Nuggets fan, I'm actually pissed off.
Yeah, I'm
pissed.
It's one of those things where they definitely had some splintering going on. I mean, there was a video, if you watched their last game, where Peyton Watson and Aaron Gordon are jawing back at each other for a while.
So there's infighting.
But that happens. That's
normal.
Though. That happens. They're NBA players. You know what I mean? From time to time, there's some times you bicker on the bench, blah, blah, whatever. I mean, we've seen it. We've seen it with LeBron in Miami, where he had teammates that he fought with, and they went on to win championships. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like it's a foreign thing to see NBA players on the bench yelling at each other, getting mad or getting hyped up. I wouldn't say like mad, you know what I mean? But definitely getting hyped up or trying to figure out like, hey, like, how do we do this? How do we win together, right? And one guy has his opinion on how you win, and another guy has another opinion on how you win, and they disagree. And in that moment, the emotions are flying. It's hot. It's the heat of the battle. And, you come to blows, and then you brush it off because it's like that with men. You know what I mean? That's what we do. We argue, we get mad, and the next thing you know, we're best friends eating dinner with each other's wives and having, steaks together. Right. That's just how it goes. So this was kind of, even if there was some infighting or whatever, I just don't think it was right that you do this to a coach who won a championship 2 seasons ago.
He was coach of the year.
2 seasons ago.
Yeah, I think something's up. And I also think, too, look, and I'm just speculating here.
Yeah.
But if you're management and you're having these conversations, like, man, things got to change. Maybe you had some sort of stern, I don't want to say warning, but almost warning type conversation.
Yeah.
And maybe with a soft team, which is what they are,
Yes.
let's be honest.
They're soft. I've been telling you that, though, but yes,
You
they're soft.
have. With a soft team, you, the ownership group, put Malone on notice.
Yep.
And he talks tough back to you.
Yep.
Maybe it's that. Because, listen, again, I'm just speculating. But if I'm the owner and I'm already looking at my GM and my coach sideways,
Yeah.
and we are underachieving as a team, as a product out on that floor every night that I own, and I'm not going to jump to conclusions and fire you right before the playoffs. But if I bring you into my office for a one-on-one convo, again, just speculating.
Just speculating.
And I say, hey, man, like, we respect you. You have great history here.
All-time
winningest coach
for the Nuggets.
You have accolades. You have a championship. But right now, present day, I'm concerned with X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm not telling you you're on the hot seat, but I'm giving vibes like you're in the principal's office here as I'm having this conversation. And you, instead of absorbing that and saying we're going to try to get it right and go on another championship run here, which is the thing you should say, because we've seen, let's be honest, Mike Malone has been spicy mouthed.
Oh, yeah. He was spicy mouthed all of 2024.
He talked trash to the Lakers. He talks trash in the media. He's spicy.
Yeah.
So if I'm laying this out and he barks back at me or gets back at me with a different kind of energy, then, I may say, you know what? Screw it. Don't let the door hit you, and you know the rest.
Yeah.
And take that crappy GM. I almost cuss right there. Take that piece of Shaq GM we got with you.
Yeah.
Maybe that happened, but I'm speculating because I'm at a loss.
It's one of those things, too, where I think people, who make decisions look at certain statistics and they say, hey, there's no way we shouldn't be winning games with this guy doing what he's doing. And I bring that up to say, like, Jokic is on the MVP level run, right?
Yeah.
He's not going to win. SGA is going to walk away with it. But he's having a great year.
Again.
And then look at his stats. I have his stats in front of me in April. 45 points per game in April. 12.5 rebounds. 10.7 assists. 2 steals. Shooting 62% from the field and 45% from 3. And guess how many wins the Nuggets have?
That's ridiculous.
0.
That's ridiculous.
0. And I think when you look at that, right, they're saying, well, one of the best players in the world is playing at an all-time level moment right now. And you're supposed to be one of the greatest coaches in the league right now.
Yeah.
And you can't figure out how to win going into the playoffs? This is kind of disgusting. And I don't, the opponents haven't even been like, it hasn't been the most craziest opponents.
Soft.
I mean, the four games that they lost coming into this episode is Timberwolves, who is a team who they feel like they should be better than.
They should be.
They should be. That's how they feel. Spurs, who they should definitely not be losing to with Jokic on the floor and no Wemby and no De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah, they're playing for Cooper Flag.
Right.
And they still won.
The Warriors, who is another team they feel like they should be better than.
Yeah.
And the Pacers.
Right.
Who clearly I don't respect, but one of those teams that they also once again feel like they should be better
with the
than.
exception of the Spurs, all playoff teams and all teams you should be wanting to beat to get yourself right before the playoffs.
But even before that, they lost to the Bulls, they lost to the Trailblazers.
Can't lose those.
You know what I mean? Like that's some of their last 10 games. They lost to those two teams as well. So it's like, what's going on?
It's interesting you brought up Jokic, too, because I think any other player in this league, star, we would be having the conversation now, well, what's this mean for their future?
Right.
I don't think we're having that with Jokic because he doesn't – I'm not going to say he doesn't care, but I don't think he was consulted here.
Yeah, no.
I don't think Jokic cares enough for you to come in and tell me, hey, we're going to make some wholesale changes here. I think Jokic is just like, whoever coaches me. Whoever my teammate is, my teammate is.
Yeah.
And in the end, I don't think Denver's ever going to let that guy walk out of their lives. They will pay him whatever. And he won't demand anything as a franchise, I don't think, other than the moolah so he can buy more horses.
Right. They might even talk extension, you know what I mean?
Right.
This summer
they might throw some money at him to
right.
keep him chill.
Yeah, because he's got his player option in 27, 28. So he's still got a couple years of control.
But you might want to get that done now,
right?
Because clearly the future doesn't look very bright for them.
And you got to consult him on who the next coach is, right?
That's right.
Hey, who do you like? Do you like these? These are our options. Who do you like the most?
Well,
keep that guy happy.
The Nuggets aren't playing games, but Ountae and I will in 30 seconds. Do you want the latest on the Patriots and the NFL? We'll tell you what Mike Vrabel and the Pats should do with the 4th pick in the NFL draft on Nesson's Football Podcast. Foxborough Rush. It's available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and wherever else podcasts are found. All right, it's game time with the walking, talking triple-double. What do you got for me this week?
We got an old one. Win in 7.
Oh, I'm good at these. I'm good at these.
You got to guess the player that I'm thinking of.
All right.
Of course, I always try to keep it topical. I don't try to make it too difficult for you, Travis Thomas.
All right.
And after 7 questions,
all right,
you get to get the silhouette and then ask me one final guess. All right?
Yeah, all right. I think that silhouette has helped me one time, so I'm hoping to not even need it. All right. Question number 1. I always start here. Is this a current or former player?
This is a current player.
Okay, we got a current. Let me take my notes. You know I talked this out.
Yep.
Okay, so we got a current player. Current team, East or Western Conference?
This is an Eastern Conference player.
Okay, we got an Eastern Conference current player.
That was question number 2.
Okay, thank you for keeping track because I never know how many. Has this player played on multiple teams yet, or is this his only team for this current player?
Yes, this player has played on multiple teams.
Ooh, journeyman.
That was question number 3.
Okay, so I got a journeyman in the East, current player.
Yep.
All right. Any All-Star game appearances for this player's career? If so, give me the number of how many.
Yes, this player has been in the All-Star game.
Okay.
5 times. He's a 5-time NBA.
5 times?
5-time NBA All-Star. That was question number 4.
Oh, this is a really good player. Okay. 5-time All-Star, current Eastern Conference. I wrote journeyman. Doesn't necessarily mean that, but they've been on multiple teams. Is this player a champion at all?
This player is a champion.
This player is a champion.
Is a champion. That is question number 5.
Okay. I think I'd like to solve, but first, is this player a guard, wing, big, or positionless, like the new NBA likes?
This player is definitely a big. That was question number 6.
Players are big.
Yes.
Oh, man. Okay. There's not many available options in the East. I mean, I think I'd like to solve. Do I have to ask 7?
I mean, if you want to solve and you miss, then that's question number 7, and then you get the silhouette. So it's up to you.
No.
I'm going to let you know right now, silhouette's not helping you much.
Silhouette's not going to help me.
No, I don't think so.
Eastern Conference journeyman-ish. Played on multiple teams. 5-time All-Star, big man, champ. Five-time All-Stars kind of throwing me off with this, who I'm thinking, though.
Mm-hmm.
Multiple teams. I originally was thinking Giannis, but multiple teams takes him out.
Yep.
Because that's a champ. That's where I went in my head.
Mm-hmm.
So now I have to go. It's probably on that crappy team he's on. I mean, the Raptors won a recent title. Could be a Raptor, but they stink. Why would we talk about them?
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking of champs. Bam doesn't have one. Man, this is tough. I bet it's on that damn Bucks team. It has to be. Because who the hell else other than the – this isn't a – okay, last question. This isn't a Celtic, right? This isn't a Celtic. Is this a Celtic?
This is a Celtic. That was question number 7. Can we show him the silhouette?
Is he a 5-time All-Star? That silhouette does help.
Now, because you know he's a Celtic.
Well, good point. I'd like to solve the puzzle.
Okay.
Al Horford.
It is Old man Al. Congratulations, Travis.
Okay.
Let's go.
I was about to go down the Bucks roster.
I was like, Bucks?
And I thought, well, I mean, in recent memory of championships in the East.
Yeah.
And then I was like, but the 5-time All-Star was throwing me off. That's amazing. Al Horford's been I guess it's been such a long career, but 5 All-Star games is really good.
Yeah, I know.
For him.
It is really good for him. I know you love to have the stats from the player that we are doing.
Yeah.
So the career stats for Al Horford is 12.9 points.
Wow.
7.9 rebounds and 3.2 assists. He shot 50% from the field and almost 38% from 3. And he is a 5-time All-Star and an NBA champion. Hopefully 2-time NBA champion coming up soon here,
I think he will be, and I think it'll just be icing on his cake. I don't know how much longer he has in his career, but I tell you what, around here, he will be remembered for these titles.
Well,
I think at this stage of his career now, he's underrated as a defender because he is willing to mix it up with whoever, Ountae.
Yeah, well, we actually have a little sound for you to out of Al's mouth to tell us actually how long he plans on playing in the NBA. So let's take a listen.
Look, you're an all-time great, man. When the game's not going your way like it was for Walter Clayton at times tonight, he never quit. He was a passer. He got the last stop of the game. In crunch time, he stepped up. What do you make of that kid's resilience?
He's such a smart player. He's a team player. He understood that they were going to double him. He needed to get his guys involved. So he was looking to pass early, and then he took his moments late and scored some big baskets for us. So he's just a winner. He knows how to play, and I know that I'm going to be playing against him next year in the pros, so in the NBA. So maybe he'll be with us. Who knows? But I'm sure he'll be playing in the NBA.
Well, I mean, Al completely sidestepped that answer in terms of being asked how long are you going to play. But shout outs to our guy John Fanta, who comes on all of our Nesson programming and does a tremendous job. But yeah, I don't know how much longer Al has.
He said at least next year, though.
At least next year.
He said he's coming back. That's what the takeaway I had. He said Walter Clayton Jr. He's going to play against him.
And he said maybe he'll be with us. Right. Let me put that to bed, okay? That kid is going in the lottery. I think the way he played in this tournament has propelled him to that level.
In the tournament, but we'll talk about him more in a second.
Well, Al did the other thing Al did a great job of is allowing us to transition to the natty because he was there talking to Fanta because his Gators won. So we'll go there in 30 seconds. But first, stream the entire Red Sox season with a Nesson 360 annual plan. It's available at an all-new reduced price of just $20 a month, paid annually. And for a limited time, you get 4 free tickets to Fenway with your purchase. Visit Nesson360.com to sign up today. All right, Tay, we crowned champs in both the men's and the women's game. Yep. So UConn Huskies on the women's side, Florida Gators on the men's side. Yep. Let's start with the ladies. Ladies first. You and I talked about this. I think Paige Beckers is an all-time player.
Yep.
And she needed at least one title in a game and a school that has so many all-time greats. You got to have at least one. So, does she move up the pecking order in terms of great UConn Huskies? No. You're not going to compete with a Taurasi. You're not going to compete with some of these women who have won multiple titles. But she's a great UConn Husky.
Yeah.
And I think overall, for the game of college basketball on the women's side, she is a great all-time women's player. And it was all culminated by getting at least one ship, which she got.
Yeah, and like you said, she doesn't move past like a Maya Moore or Breonna Stewart or anything like that, obviously.
Her legacy is solidified now, though.
But she is solidified, and I think even Breonna Stewart has a famous viral clip going around where they asked her about Paige Beckers and can she be considered a great Husky if she doesn't win one? Or no, I think it was about Caitlin Clark. Like, can she be considered an all-time great college basketball player if she doesn't win one? And, Breonna Stewart said no. And those same rules apply life for Paige Beckers. But now she's in. In her last game, she finally found a way to get it done and win one. But my whole thought about this whole game was like, why was it so easy?
Yeah.
Like, why did that game look so easy? I was expecting, a real rock fight, dog fight. We knew that South Carolina had the bigs. We knew that, UConn had the guard play to really stick around, but it really didn't. The bigs really didn't end up mattering in this one, and UConn really just walked away with this one. It was so easy.
Yeah, here's the other thing that jumped out to me is Gino, before this title, many already considered him the GOAT anyway.
Yeah, I mean, he already was.
Bro, you have 12 now.
And he beat somebody who's won 3 of the last 4.
That's
you know
right.
what I mean? Who he lost to.
That's incredible.
His only loss ever, he went and redeemed it, you know what I mean, in the championship game. So.
Incredible. I don't know how many more titles, we were talking about Al Horford.
Yeah.
I don't know how many more Gino has, but I tell you one damn thing. I mean, he left no doubt with this team. And by the way, they're in position to possibly do this again. I have next year's odds in front of me.
Yeah.
South Carolina being the favorite, plus 450. We understand why.
Right.
I've never seen Dawn Staley as shell-shocked as she was in this game against UConn. I understand
Smacking
why.
her head,
getting
mad.
But listen, they weren't shooting well. UConn was putting the clamps on them defensively, like I get it. So South Carolina's the favorite, followed by Juju on that beat, USC at plus 500, and then UConn right there at plus 600. Then you have LSU, Notre Dame, and Texas following them. I don't hate that UConn bet. I'm a little skeptical about SC. I want to see how Juju kind of recovers here.
Yeah.
But I would not be shocked at all, Tay, if we see South Carolina and UConn again, hopefully for the Natty. But you know how this committee is.
Right.
I mean, they may play first round the way they do it. They don't know what they're doing. But I would not be shocked, depending how the regions end up.
Yeah.
UConn, SC, South Carolina all over again.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. The thing that I wanted to ask you, though, is you bringing up these odds next year, blah, blah, blah. Like, which one of these coaches will win the next one first? Like, obviously, we might have a year where LSU wins one or somebody else or USC gets one next year. But which one of those 2 head coaches, Dawn Staley, Gino, which one of those 2 will get a championship next?
Well, it could come down to next year. Because I just said that could be the Natty again.
Right, it could be.
I'll tell you whose future is she cannot wait for Gino to retire. It's Dawn Staley. Honestly. Like, once he's gone, she could chase him. Yeah. She could, all right, what's he got, 12, 13 maybe? Let me try.
Right.
Because once he's out of there, I mean, it should be smooth sailing. On the men's side of things, we predicted this. Houston, who we liked defensively. Actually, we loved defensively, and we love their coach, in Sampson. But offensively, you and I talked about this. They're just too inconsistent.
Yeah.
They're limited offensively. Cryer's a really, really solid high-end player. I don't know if he's great.
Yeah.
But they have no consistency. And now that I've watched them as much as I have in this tournament, I don't think they have an identity offensively. A lot of times when I watch the Houston Cougars play, it's like outdoor basketball. It's not even indoor. Right. It's just like you're just willy-nilly playing pickup. Defensively, stellar, otherworldly. Offensively, they just got a bunch of guys that go down there and try and it's my turn. No, it's your turn. Now it's like iso ball.
Yeah.
I can't stand watching them play offensively. That costed them against the Florida Gators, who are a complete team, offensive and defensive.
Yeah, and I mean, I want to give Emmanuel Sharp a lot of credit, honestly, because I know a lot of people are, I wouldn't say upset with him, but he didn't finish the game out the way that Houston fans would have wanted him to finish out the game.
Yeah.
Right? But he was such a bright light for them the entire season. And in that championship game, up until those last couple moments of the game. Yeah. It was one of those things, though, I was right there with you, where I walked away and I said, man, I love Kelvin Sampson. I think he's done a great job with this Houston program as a whole. Every year, people continuously doubt them, put them as an underdog, and they continue to exceed everybody's expectations, even more so this year, making it to the championship team where no one had them beating Duke. No one I know had them beating Duke. And they went out and did it. Even myself, I was wrong. I was wrong about both of those Final Four games, Florida and Houston. I didn't have moving on. So it was one of those things where I wanted to see Kelvin finally have a team offensively ready enough to get over the hump.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, I love Kelvin. but I don't think his X and his O's on the offensive end are good enough.
Me either.
They didn't have the correct spacing on that play. I mean, Walter Clayton was dead to rights.
Yeah, he was.
At the block when Emmanuel caught that ball.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? If you have the guys there setting the screen, the elevator screen correctly, then he gets a wide open look, and maybe you are national champions. And when you have coming out of a timeout, you have an opportunity to roll that play up, make sure dudes are in the right place. Everybody should be knowing what's going on, and everybody standing next to each other, and they let a dude walk from the block all the way out to the 3-point line to have a chance to contest that shot.
Right.
It's a problem, and that problem was exasperated by the moment. And I'm sad to say it, but Kelvin, you have to have a better offensive scheme.
Couldn't agree more.
If you want to win a national championship, it takes that much.
Couldn't agree more, bro. I mean, literally everything you said verbatim. In fact, let's talk about Walter Clayton Jr. here, because congrats on winning this title. I mean, he was a guy, most outstanding player, Final Four, all that.
Yeah.
I think his NBA stock should be rising through the roof. Now, I get it. He's 6'2", 6'3", 200 pounds. He's not the biggest cat, but he does feel a lot like a true point guard in the NBA in the sense that I think he's a good enough ball handler. I think he's a solid passer. He just feels a lot to me like a scoring point guard in this league or in the league. And then defensively, maybe a bit of a liability because of his size, but he's active defensively. I like Will Clayton Jr., and I would have no issue as an NBA team. I mean, we just talked about the Magic. Yeah. If the Magic could get a Will Clayton Jr., bro.
Yeah, Walter, yeah.
I say Will, who I think is an NFL player. If they could get a Walter Clayton Jr. As a high draft pick, by all means, plug and play. I think he can make it happen. Do you? You're not buying it. Too small?
Here's my thing. I think he's going to be a good NBA player. What I don't like is that because he couldn't make a jump shot in the first half, he was useless for a whole half. I don't like that.
That's credit to Houston's defense,
too.
No,
but it took him way too long to figure out, hey, I got to get downhill and make something happen downhill and, not just give the ball up so early. And the thing about it, not only just giving the ball up early, but being sloppy with his passes. He had that one where he came off the ball screen going towards the right elbow, and he just threw the ball over his head out of bounds towards the coaches. You know what I'm saying? Things like that, I didn't like to see him as like a facilitator because he looked like he didn't really care about the ball. Yeah. If you're not going to make shots, which happens. It happened to Steph Curry. I recently just saw it happen to him against the Rockets. You have to have some type of gravity and be able to affect the game in different types of ways. And he's not a Steph Curry level shooter. I don't think he'll ever be a Steph Curry level shooter. He is a great shooter, but he's not that level. And so if he's not going to be able to make shots, which is going to happen, he has to find ways defensively, facilitating wise, to affect the game, to be a lottery pick.
Okay.
Right? And when you're playing against one of the best defenses in the country, I understand that there's going to be times that, hey, certain things don't work out, but I saw Cooper Flagg, a freshman, make it work out. So you should be doing it as a year 4 guard going into an NBA draft.
You brought up Cooper Flagg. I have the odds for next year's Natty. Houston at 9-1 is a favorite. Duke 10-1, although Flagg will be gone. UConn at 14-1. My sleeper, BYU 20-1.
Yeah.
And look, our guy AJ DeBonta going there. I know BYU lost their point guard to the NBA, but if they can replace him high end. Listen, I'm willing to bet on A.J. DeBonta just like I was Cooper Flagg. And we saw Flagg's impact at Duke. A.J. could be just as good, if not better. I think keep your eye on BYU as a sleeper there. All right, as far as our League Pass game to watch tonight, who you got?
Oh, man, I got a great game for you, all right? Because this one is all about playoff basketball. We're getting close to the playoffs.
Okay.
We watched the national championship earlier this week.
All right.
And I need some playoff energy in the NBA.
All right.
Heat at Bulls tonight.
That's your playoff energy?
Hey, hold on, bro. First
Playing
of all,
games?
Hold on. First of all, both of these teams have been pretty hot as of late.
God.
They won 7, 8 of their last games going into as we're recording this, and also they're in a tight playoff race for that 8 seed, which the 8 seed is so important because you only got to win one game to get into the playoffs. So they're in the race with the Hawks. This is going to be one of those games where they play desperation, petty hoops, which I love.
You do love.
Desperation, petty hoops in order to fight for this playoff position. They're about a half game apart going into this game. So, it'll be a good one.
All right, petty man. Either team is going to be a sacrificial lamb to the Cavs or the Celtics anyway, so it doesn't even matter.
It's playoff basketball.
Well,
it's do or die.
It's funny you say that.
With 5 games left in the season, it's important.
It's funny you say that because I actually picked a real playoff atmosphere game. How about my Rockets at your Clippers? These
my
are
Clippers.
Actual, your Clippers.
My Clippers.
All you do is vouch for the Clippers
They're
every
a good
chance you get.
team.
They're all right. But here's the deal. These are 2 playoff teams that are already in it, bona fide, okay? They're not in any play-in nonsense. These are actual playoff teams, and I want to watch that because I don't care about sacrificial lambs. I care about teams that I think can actually make a run. The Clippers, I don't, okay?
Yeah,
the Rockets, I do. So I have all eyes on this game, and all you do is tell me the Clippers are a good team like you're doing now. So I even want to watch it to kind of assess where are my Rockets? Where are they now going into the playoffs? And the Clippers are losers, just like I tell you.
I'm glad you chose this game because this was a game that I was going to choose. It was my second game. I want to see some petty desperation basketball because this is do or die right here. You know what I'm saying? You're fighting for something that actually means something. Versus 2 teams that are already in the playoffs. They're going to have a battle. We know they are. It's going to be a defensive bout. It's going to be a rock fight. But I would rather watch Bulls at Heat.
Well, listen. Petty hoops.
Or Heat at Bulls. Sorry, excuse me.
Petty hoops from a petty, competitive dog such as yourself, and then me, just an upstanding citizen.
Yeah, whatever.
Sure. Let me get that dog.
No, not at all.
He knows too much. Ountae Campbell and Travis Thomas and you. Thank you for rolling with us here on Hold My Banner. Till next time, when we ask you to hold it again. Peace out.
Deuces.